The meeting of the Administration and Public Works Committee. Alderman Fisk is not with us this evening, and Alderman Breathwaite has not been officially appointed yet, so it'll be just Alderman Burris, Alderman Rainey, and myself, which is a quorum. Could I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the March 14th meeting?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Items for discussion. Yes.
Have we ever mentioned that I don't know?
Yeah, Alderman Rainey.
Have we ever mentioned that the minutes are really excellent from Administration Public Works?
We may not have, but we need to
But
tell.
they are.
We need to say that. Yes, they are.
They are. Who does them?
This.
Phil Bogger.
Yes,
Thank
they
you,
are.
Phil.
They're very good. Thank you, Phil. We
They're
should have
just
said that
great.
before.
They really are good.
Okay. The item A1, City of Evanston's payroll through March 13th, 2011, $2,462,035.56.
Move approval.
And you have to second.
Second. I'm reading.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, item A2, City of Evanston's bills through 2010 and 11 through the 29th of March 2011, $1,210,791.09. And
Approval.
Second.
all in favor?
Wait, we're doing the bills, right?
We're doing the 210 to 11.
Could I just
Okay,
finish looking at them?
Oh, okay, right, I'm sorry. I forgot to mention that we had the bills list, if there are comments on the bills list, but can I just hold the voting, but can we also include the City of Evanston's bills for 2011 through 3/10/11 of $906,275.92. It's included in the motion.
Right.
Okay, now, any
I accept
questions
that.
or concerns about the bills list?
Madam Chairman, I think you're going to have to deduct some money from the bills list. Because on one of the pages, there was a list of items, several of which, including a reimbursement to me, which I could have used the double payment, but I noted that there were several bills paid twice. On the last page, page 4.
So all those 7 items have to all be deducted?
I'm not sure how staff wants to handle that.
Not all of them have to be.
Not all of them.
Not all, just the few that are listed there ran and appeared again on the bills list, but they won't be paid. So the amount, Alderman Rainey is correct, it's a little bit too high. So if the motion was to exclude the items that are listed in the answer,
But we
then
need
it
to
would
say
be-
the amount we're approving, the exact amount. So by the time we have our council meeting, could staff get us the number?
I think Mr. Lyons will take care of that for us and give it to us before we finish the meeting. So then we won't take a vote on this item, and we'll come back to it, okay?
Right.
All right. Item A3-1, approval of contract award for the Crown Park Phase 1 and Phase 2 environmental site assessment and preliminary geotechnical engineering services for environmental protection industries. The city staff recommends the city council approval of a contract awarded for the Crown Park Phase 1 and 2 environmental site assessment and preliminary technical engineering services to environmental protection industries, EPI, at the total amount of $7,510. Funding will be provided by the Capital Improvement Program account 415555 with a budget of $143,000.
Approval.
Second.
All in favor?
No.
Yes. Okay, Alderman Rainey.
Madam Chairman, I have some questions about this. I'm not sure I understand the process here. we've hired a company for $7,000, $7,510, who, number one, didn't understand the specifications enough to provide us with an accurate bid for the boring, but that's just one minor thing. It's my understanding that once this company produces the information from the Phase 1 part, and we'll be able to project the cost of the second part, which they're going to receive by virtue of bidding the 7,100 or 500 on the first part. Is that right? I mean, they get this job no matter what? What if they screw up? I mean, how come, I don't, if somebody could just explain this part to me. This is, I
Mr.
can't
Gaynor, you
get
want to address
beyond
that? Or,
I just can't get beyond that. And would there be conditions, would there be information produced from the first part that would cause us not to go on?
Yeah, the point of this particular process is that when they complete the first testing, if there's additional testing, they would get the contract for the second, and that was part of the bid process. However, if in fact we are not compelled or required to hire them for the second phase, if we don't like what they've done, if they don't comply or produce what it is that we're after.
That's not what you say in here. I mean, it looks to me like they get it, so that's why I'm asking. Let's say they don't produce information that's the worst case scenario, but not the best case scenario, someplace in the middle, the data that they produce from their first study. What are we projecting to be the cost of the second part of the study? I know you can't say, but given the parameters I laid out.
Yeah, you're right. I really can't say because we don't know what the first phase will produce in the way of their testing. There may be no reason to do a phase 2. If their conclusions are that the soils are not contaminated in any way, there may be no reason to go to phase 2. And that's why, in fact, we did it this way. We're assuming, because the Crown Park area originally was a dump, that there will be probably some, but we don't know what degree that would be. So it's really very difficult for us to say what the second phase would be.
And isn't there some issue also there with the stability of the soil? Wasn't there something about where the current building is?
Well, the current building and the rest of the park is a dump. And over the years, you're going to have compaction, you're going to have settling occurring. And that's just a normal process when you have a dump. So that's one of the reasons, obviously, we're concerned about the soil and why we're doing the testing.
Wouldn't it be more profitable for this firm to find stuff than to not find things, since they're going to get the second part of the job, most likely?
I mean, I guess Stephanie Levine, Parks, Recreation, Community Services. And I guess theoretically that would be, but actually our preliminary discussions with this firm suggest that they actually don't expect to find much of anything. They, I think, would be surprised if we did. Yeah, they really aren't anticipating that there's going to be much, and that was actually the case with all the firms that we interviewed. All of them felt equally similar about that.
was there a reason for that? I mean, why do they, since it was a dump?
They actually don't think that it was. I mean, we're going to find out, but
They don't think it was a dump?
correct.
Oh.
That's correct.
Why does Mr. Gaynor think it was a dump?
There's some anecdotal information that we have that suggests that it may have been, but thus far, a lot of these firms have access to a lot of databases that we don't have access to, and the data that they've pulled initially does not suggest that.
In addition to this, Alderman Rainey, members of the committee, there was, this anecdotal information, we've talked with a number of residents who've lived in the community and around that park for 30 or 40 years, and they said that there was a creek that ran underground through that area. There was a kind of a marsh area. So we want to be able to provide the consultants who will be eventually submitting proposals for the Crown Improvement Project the best information for soils as possible. And so this whole process is for that reason.
Okay. Any other questions?
Well, just the only thing that I would like to see in these kinds of reports in the future is, instead of telling us that their references said, oh, they are highly competent and very responsive, I just can't imagine giving a reference where somebody's going to say they did terrible work. I would rather see a listing of a couple of previous projects that they worked on in other communities. That would be, I would feel a lot more confident about that than knowing that people said they were great. I don't see what choice.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay, A 3.2, approval of contract award for Crown Market validation and financial feasibility study to HVS Convention, Sports and Entertainment Facilities Consulting. Staff recommends City Council approval of a contract awarded for the Crown Market validation and financial feasibility study to HVS Convention, Sports and Entertainment Facilities Consulting at the cost of $49,500. The funding will be provided by the Capital Improvement Program account 41555 with a budget of $143,000.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions?
Yeah, could I just understand why we're doing this now before we get the other study?
In all the deliberations of the subcommittee, as well as those teams that did propose that they would be submitting proposals to the RFP, it was suggested, A, that there be a market study, and B, there would be this environmental study. We felt that it was important that have everybody on the same playing field, and for us to feel confident that the market study as well as the environmental study was produced accurately, and that we would have confidence in it, that we would pay for it. It will become part of the request for proposal that we send to all three contract firms.
Could you explain this part? Future sub-phases may include Phase 2 environmental work, legal services, and potential stipends for pre-qualified vendors to create responses. What are you talking about, the stipends?
In doing a proposal of this magnitude, there is a precedent that's been set in the industry that stipends may be provided for these teams in order to submit a proposal. It's a very lengthy process and very time-consuming. It's a very involved process, and so there has been discussion that there may be that as an opportunity.
Can you remind us the value of the total value of the project?
Of rebuilding Crown? We really don't have, we have estimates from anywhere from 12 or 14 million to 20 or 25 million, depending on what is included eventually.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. A 3.3, approval of the 2011 special events calendar. Staff recommends City Council approval of the 2011 calendar of special events, contingent upon compliance of all requirements as set forth by the special events policies and guidelines. and with the exception of one new proposed event, the Women's TK9 race. The Special Events Committee requires further discussion with the Women's TK9 race event coordinator and will provide a recommendation for this event at a later date. Is there a motion for approval?
Second.
Okay, been moved and seconded. Are there questions? Alderman Burrs.
I guess this would go to Mr. Gaynor. The lakefront park events, because there's what I believe is an unfair restriction on the number of events that can be held on the lakefront, I've noticed that we really only are having one new event allowed on the lakefront this year. My question to you, and I'd like this at a later date, obviously you can't come up with it, of the lakefront events, I would like to have this in a chart form of each of the events. Are they sponsored by the city? And how many years consecutively have they been running on the lakefront? And my reason for asking for this is it seems that the same events get precedent every year, and it doesn't allow for new events to come in on the lakefront. And that seems to be a little exclusionary. So I would like that information going forward. Maybe our next meeting would be great. That's all. Thanks.
Sure, we can provide that.
Maybe we need to also look at revisiting. Didn't we talk about this last year in terms of revisiting the number of events to increase?
I wholeheartedly second that.
I think that should be a part of what we look at. Alderman Rainey?
I would like to know movies in the park, various city parks, but you're not saying where other than Dawes. Is there a reason for that?
Well, currently, I think we've made the decision sort of tentatively. Dawes Park, James Park, Harbert Park, Twigs, and Brummel are the parks that we will be having those. I think Bob, did we say Bent? And I believe one movie at Bent Park also.
I thought Elks Park, I asked you to consider Elks Park.
We're doing the other Ridgeville Park, Brummel Park.
No, but we're also doing a concert in Brummel.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Elks Park is a huge open space, would be perfect.
Well,
I wish you would consider that.
we talked about that, and we were concerned possibly about train noise that goes by. One of the reasons that we're looking at some of the sites is with traffic noise, train noise, and so that's one of the criteria.
There's a train that goes right through our town, right behind the concerts at James Park. The Skokie Swift, it's the
Understand, and we get a little bit of break because of part of that is the hill, and we're going into the hill. But I understand your
I really would like to urge you to reconsider Elks Park.
instead of Brummel Park.
No, both.
Well, we don't have enough funding for an additional concert and movie. So unless we, cancel one of the other sites.
Alderman Burrs?
When do you need to have this approved? What's our drop dead date? The reason I'm asking is if we don't approve it tonight and we wait to get information about this longevity of the same events over and over again, is that going to be a problem for scheduling for you and your staff?
It's probably not as much of a problem for the staff as it is for the folks that are sponsoring the events. When we developed this schedule of getting this information to the council in March, it's an opportunity for, once these events have been approved, and most of these events are not sponsored by the city, the sponsors are able to go out, or the proponents are being able to go out and get sponsorship and get out their printed material and advertising. So the longer it's delayed, the less time these activities have an opportunity for promotion.
How many events do you turn down approximately per year that want to do something on the lakefront?
I think this year we had two or three additional races that we turned down. The TK9 race, which we're trying to fit in, would probably take, and would have to come back to council because of the size of the race. When it's along Sheridan Road and so on. I think there were two others that we were not able to accommodate.
And how did you choose not to accommodate these two organizations, but chose to accommodate the others?
They were new.
I'm sorry?
They were new events.
So because someone came up with a new idea or a new set of folks wanting to be involved, we reject them because they're new to the process, so we keep the same events over and over again. So one of these events would have to decide to drop out voluntarily before we're allowed others to come in. That seems extremely unfair.
Unless we extend the events. And that's the other option.
Or we make it on a merit basis, that they have to do an application that is judged on for what are they giving back to the community, what is the overall benefit, how many people are attending, is it helping us economic development, versus my friends keep coming back year after year, so we're going to keep giving them the permit, but because I didn't know you or you're a new entity, you're never going to get into the special club. That just seems inequitable and completely not in keeping with what Evanston says we want to be, and inclusive and fair. It just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, with all due respect, Alderman, this is not a personal, this is a policy that's been in place for years. So if a group is coming back, like the Ricky Birdsong Race for Hate, or the two festivals that the city puts on, the 6 concerts that the city puts on, these are events that have been in place for years. If the council would like to make a policy change to either open up for additional events or change the policy and go more by developing criteria, we're certainly open for that.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean it that you personally. I'm saying in general, if our policy is the same people get preferential treatment over and over again, that's a poor policy for the city. I did not mean it directly at any staff members.
Alderman Rainey?
I'd like to amend the special events to include either a movie or a concert at Elks Park. I realize it's not a city park, but I know they would embrace, and we've met with Ridgeville to talk about how we can cooperate with one another. That is the most underutilized stretch of land in the entire city of Evanston. It just, it's just vacant all the time, and it is densely populated there, and a train going by every now and then is not going to ruin anything. So maybe we can take another concert out of James Park and put it over there.
We can do that.
There's a whole population over there that.
Yeah, we can do
I wish
that.
you would look at that.
I mean, if
Thank
that's
you.
the desire, then we can do
I
that.
would really like you to look at that, and if there's some reason why we can't, then just let's talk. Okay.
It's so unfair.
You can't?
I just can't. I mean, I can't vote for
Can you vote for my amendment?
Once again, this is so inequitable, and I just cannot vote for this until we have more information about, how many people have come, or these organizations have come back over and over again, and why are we including city events as part of this as well? So, obviously, we maybe outvoted on the council. But
As you recall, Alderman Burse, this is a policy of the city council that was developed, several years ago. So it would take
Council vote.
council action to change.
Well, why don't we, I hear you, Director Gaynor, in terms of the need to have this information to the vendors or to the applicants. Could we just not defer this until the April, what is that, 12th meeting. Do you think you could get the information by then? Is that too soon?
No, we can get the information for your next city council meeting.
And then we could have that for the next AMP&W meeting, right? And to discuss it here, and then we could take it on to the council.
Yes, we can do that.
You want it, Mr. Lyons?
Members of the committee, Marty Lyons, Assistant City Manager. The only proviso I would throw in there would be any of the events that would be up against the deadline that we'd at least want to come back and let you know at the 12th meeting of these are the events that are earliest on the calendar, and that might be 20%, 30%. It's still very early in the festival season to just let you know about those, and then it would throw open a lot more of the funding to a discussion of a new approach on policy. So, and if you're looking at that, when we look at it, to still give people 30 days notice, it would be 3 events.
3 events?
3 events that would need that might need to move forward.
In your packet.
So it's on page 130 of the packet would give you the 3 events that we'd still want to at least give them some notification, but the rest then in the whole scheme of things could be evaluated.
And I just want to clarify, I'm not saying that we should not have these events. That is not my point. My point is we need to just open it up to more. So it's not, these events are great. It's nothing against them.
And also on the funding side of things, if we felt that we wanted to open it up to more as a part of our coming back to you, we could look at alternative funding sources. For instance, if it was a benefit for economic development, then maybe we might look at trying to make that a priority from our economic development folks, so we can bring that back as a part of the response.
Alderman Rainey?
Alderman Burris, are there some events that you want to include that aren't here or that are rejected or anything? I mean, I'm trying to just grasp on to something specific.
Sure. No, I don't have a specific events, but I know over the years that you've heard that people have tried to have events on the lakefront and they're rejected. So do I have a specific event X, Y, or Z? No, I do not.
Well, do we know, are there any events that came to us that we said we're sorry and they're not in the list? Are there any? I mean, other than the 2 you're...
The 2 you.
Just
I don't mean those. I mean...
just the 2 that I mentioned that were
So there are
races.
no events that ended up in the cutting room floor that didn't make the packet, right?
No.
That-
Other than the 2.
Right, but I mean other than those.
Other than the 2, no, everything else was accommodated. And we're working, as I mentioned, on that TK9 race. We're having a little trouble with the route that they're trying to use. And we're trying to use the lakefront for the run, but for the beginning and the end, we're trying to take it either way north and put it over on Longfield or at one of the schools down at the south end of town, so that it doesn't really impact the actual
Elks
lakefront.
Park.
I'm sorry?
Can you end it at Elks Park? I mean, we want festivals. We want things in the south end of town. Just saying, okay?
Okay, so what do we want to do? Do we want to hold this in the committee until the 12th and get the information back?
Well, I mean, being involved in one of the events, it's not going to affect it at all, but I can't imagine if we were holding something like in September that affected Bike the Ridge, you know.
Right.
So I would imagine some people are going to be very nervous about this.
Well, I mean,
if you say it's not going to affect
couple of weeks
anything,
away. Couple of weeks away.
if it's not going to affect anything, then.
I think we just go ahead and hold it and then get the information and be ready to take it to council on the 12th. All right. Is that Alderman Burris? Will
Yeah,
that-
that's fine, but I once again, I want to reiterate to the organizations, we're not saying no, we're not, don't think they should be concerned. It's more, we're just trying to expand, we're not trying to contract.
Okay, but what are we, here's a question, Madam Chairman. What are we going to get in 2 weeks? What is it that you want to see? That's what I want to know.
I want to, What I want to see is how many of these have gone, how long have they been going, and which are city events versus outside organizations as well.
Okay, there's a spreadsheet
Is it, okay, I see
on
the
page
spreadsheet,
130, and it talks about, it doesn't give all the information you're
Right.
requesting,
Yeah.
but it
Maybe
does
use
say,
another column.
the far right-hand column says organization, so that'll show you how many are city events. And if you recall the policy, there's 21 event days and 12 events. So for instance, the Ethnic Festival is 2 days, 1 event, and then with 5 or 6 concerts and then the movies and so on. So you can see how that lays out, but it doesn't give you all the information you've requested, which we can provide.
If you want, we can vote on it. That's fine, we can vote on it. I don't have to hold it.
We don't have to hold it? Okay, so we're not going to hold it. You still want the information, though?
I still want the,
You still want the information, but we're going to go ahead and vote on it?
okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Oh, it's 2-1. Okey dokey. A34, approval of the 3-year schedule for public elm tree injection program. Staff recommends that the city council approve a 3-year schedule for the elm tree injection program. At the November 22nd, 2010 council meeting, approval of the funding year 2011 budget, staff was directed by council to include all public elm trees above 10 inches in diameter, thus adding 840 additional trees. At that time, a report was requested by council to outline how the additional trees would be added to the program. Is there a motion?
I move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
You can't move and second.
Then you can second, please. Somebody second.
I'll second reluctantly.
It's been moved and second. Alderman Rainey.
Well, I know which option I like, and that is option 1, but I felt that I didn't get direction from staff as to which option they liked. I mean, I heard why a couple of options weren't such a good idea, but did you say which option you liked? 1? I mean, I just didn't see that you actually said that, did you? Approval of 3 years. And I sure did mark this up.
Good evening, Paul D'Agostino, Superintendent of Parks, Forestry, and Facilities. Alderman Rainey, we don't have a specific recommendation as to which option. There was a difference of opinion on staff's part, so any of the options would work, so we're going to hopefully leave it up to you to decide. I mean, option 1 works more quickly than the others.
Does that answer what you want, Alderman Rainey? Any other comments? Alderman Burris?
I'm just registering once again. I just can't imagine how we're spending this kind of money in the budget crisis that we have. As one of my other aldermen says regularly, I love trees, but I love people more. And I just have real trouble putting this much money toward injections and adding more trees on the injection program. Once again, not against trees or parks or anything. It's just, this is a substantial amount of money that we just can't afford.
Alderman Rainey?
But then we're going back on what we committed to. We committed to injecting all of the trees over the, whatever the circumference was.
I voted against it.
And, okay, but the problem with the tree thing is, once they start dying off, they can never be replaced. You can put as many twigs up as you want. You'll never replace these. And if you're interested in people, this does assist. I mean, you're one of our greenest aldermen.
I know.
You know, there's nothing less green than a dead tree. So I would just encourage you to support this. It also affects property values. They're really historic trees. We just spent months saving a tree in an alley, for God's sakes. I think it would be going back on our promise if we didn't support option 1, because supporting other options means you're going to let those trees sit for a year or so, or only do part of them. Oh, this must be big, all 3
Okay.
seats.
Alderman Holmes, members of the committee, good evening.
City Manager, go ahead.
We wanted to give you multiple options because I really, echoing both Alderman Burris and Alderman Rainey's point, I think we took away as staff from the budget discussions that this was an important program, and that the council wanted us to find a way to really better systematize it over an extended period of time in order to bring the result that I believe the council was asking us to do, and that is to save as many trees as possible. I think the rub, of course, comes with the money. And we provided you multiple options to ease us into this cycle. We think all of them are supportable options. It really comes to how much money you want to spend. And I think they go option 1 through 4. Option 1 is the most responsible tree-friendly option. Option 4 is the most money-friendly option, and the twain meet somewhere in the middle. Again, option 1, we feel will give the greatest protection. It will cost some additional dollars, which we believe we can cover through the funding that we have set aside. And then there are gradations through that with options 2 and 3. Option 4 is giving us an additional year to get on the full cycle, as the memo indicates on page 139, that puts some additional trees at risk. We think that could be about 14 additional trees. So it comes down to that classic balance between the amount of money you want to spend versus the risk. And I think staff's done a good job of laying that out. As your city manager, I think, given the orders of magnitude on the money we're talking about, option 4 is the most responsible fiscally. Option 1 is the most responsible for saving the maximum number of trees. If you're looking for a recommendation from your city manager, my recommendation is option 4. If you're looking for a recommendation from the gentleman whose life's work it is to take care of the trees of Evanston, this is going to be option 1. So those are our 2 recommendations, and they come at it from different perspectives, and we're here to answer any additional questions.
Are there any other comments? Well, Alderman Rainey, I hear you saying that we'd go back on what we said, and I would hate to do that, but at the same time, I think that we're micromanaging God when we say that the trees are not going to be taken care of. But that's just my opinion. So I would, if not to go back on the word, I would go with option 4 at the least amount, because we just don't have the money. So I know that that's putting at risk, what, 14 trees? I would have to go with option 4 too, I think. Because I think that actually we could do even better than that and not do the trees for a couple of years, and I think they would be okay, but I understand that everybody doesn't believe that, so. Anything else? Otherwise, we have option 1 and option 4 on the table. Okay, Alderman Rainey is for option 1. All in favor of option 1?
Aye.
Oppose? No. All in favor of option 4? Say aye here. Oppose?
No.
So, what do we take to the council?
I win.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, would it
We
be
got 1 and 1.
is there additional information that would be helpful? Would you like us to come back in 2 weeks to focus a little bit more on 1 and 4 or work on the middle ground ones a little bit. If you can't agree on either end, perhaps we should focus then on 2 and 3 and come back with a way to, from a compromise perspective, or you can just let this move forward to the council without a specific recommendation and ask the council's advice.
Well, that might be,
For 2 and 3, I mean, we didn't vote.
right.
Okay, well, but I guess I'm just thinking if there's one who's in favor of one, one's in favor of 4,
One's in favor of nothing.
and one's in favor of nothing. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought perhaps one was in favor of something in the middle. The Goldilocks approach to saving trees here.
Oh, well, maybe, why don't we just go ahead and take it to council and let council decide?
Okay, because we would
So we'll
certainly
move
be
it
happy
back.
to come back with additional information or,
What did we do to let the tree people know about this? Because it appears as though they didn't know about it.
Oh, they knew about it. I got a
Did
call.
they?
Well, at least I got a
didn't
call
get a
from
call.
tree people.
Really? Okay.
Virginia called me.
Oh, really? Okay, all right, as long as you knew.
I know she knew. I mean, I know one person knew anyway.
All right, that's, I mean, if she
there
knew
was
that-
no special notice of this particular item. I
But
think
it's just
people
on,
who
it's on
follow
the
the
agenda like
agendas.
all the other items. Okay. Okay, so this.
So you'll
will-
take it
we'll
with no
take to-
recommendation?
We'll take it to council
You'll
with
explain that
no,
1
Yes,
and
I
3,
will.
4 got votes?
but no recommendation. Okay, A35, approval of the contract award. I'm sorry? We're not going to, we're going to go, we're taking it to council without a recommendation. Okay? Mhm. Approval of the contract award for 2011 MFT Street Resurfacing Program to Schroeder Asphalt Services. Staff recommends City Council approval of a contract in response to bid 11-85 to award the 2011 MFT Street Resurfacing Contract to Schroeder's Asphalt Services in the amount of $693,865.90. Funding for this work will be from the Motor Fuel Tax Fund. The budget amount is $1 million. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Madam Chairman.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alderman
I
Rainey.
sent a request to city staff today asking why Chicagoland Paving was not in compliance with MWEBE. Did they, I mean, when we're told that they're not in compliance, but then there's no explanation, you know, I don't know did
I
they,
thought I saw something.
no, well, maybe I just missed it, but.
I'm trying to.
I just
pull
see
it up.
that Chicagoland Paving is not in compliance with the requirements
on
of the
the-
city. And then we went to the second lowest bidder, but I don't know why the.
Alderman
first-
Rainey, members of the committee, Alderman Rainey did forward that question to me either late last night or early this morning. I forwarded it to the Assistant City Manager, and we do not have an answer. If you'd like, we can either, if you wouldn't mind putting this item aside for a few moments,
Okay.
and we can come
We'll
back
come
and
back
get
to
you
it.
the answer in just a few moments, so. if
But
you
it would be helpful, Wally, when we get comments like that, especially when it's a low bidder. I mean, if it was a high bidder, I really wouldn't care.
Understood, of course.
But we're choosing the second high bidder, second low bidder because of this.
Right, and that has absolutely, Alderman Rainey, been our past practice, and so that was not the case here. If you could give us a few moments
Yeah,
to
I'm not in
chat,
any
and
rush.
we'll, Madam Chair, if you could just take this then as the last item for the
Absolutely.
committee.
We'll move this down with the bills. So we'll keep two things we need to come back to.
Okay, very good.
Okay, great. Okay, A3.6, approval of the estimated annual users charge for 2011 with the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago for the disposal of sludge generated as part of the water treatment process. Staff recommends approval. Let's see, the amount for the disposal is $300,958.19. 10 payments of $30,095.82 will be made beginning March 1 and ending on December 1st, 2011. Funding for this work will be from the Water Fund, account 7110.62420. The account has a budget of $387,345.
Move approval.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
A 3.7, approval of purchase of recycling containers from Wausau Tile Incorporated. Staff recommends City Council approval of purchase of, in response to bid number 11-68, 350 recycling containers for the business district and 75 recycling containers for the athletic fields from Wausau Tile in the amount of $89,750. Funding for this work will be from the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant, which has a budget of $90,000 for this project. Second,
What are they going to look like?
do we have anyone here who knows what they're going to look like? Mr. Snyder.
Paul Schneider, City Engineer. Madam Chair, committee members, actually, I'm going to have to get back to you on that.
Yeah, I want to know what these things look like before we put them out on the streets.
Madam Chair, we'd recommend you hold in committee.
Hold
You
it-
can
hold this
the
one
item
in-
in
we'll
committee
hold
until
this
we're
in
able
committee.
to answer the question.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, A4, Resolution 16-R-11, authorizing the city manager to execute the easement agreement with Sunesis, is that how you put it? Sunesis, LLC, for the installation of dark fiber optic cable. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt Resolution 16-R-11 to grant a utility easement to Sunesis LLC for the installment of dark fiber optic cable in the public right-of-way. The local Sunesis office is located in Oak Park Terrace. No city funding is required for this fiber optic cable installation. Sunesis will be assessed a utility easement fee of $5 per square feet for 13,800 square feet for a total fee of $69,000 to be deposited into the right-of-way account 2630.52126.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Are there any questions, comments? All in favor? Aye. Okay, Director Earl, do we have an answer on the bills?
This is the amount.
Okay. Okay. So this is going to take the place of this, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So that's why you just need to change.
Right, okay, thank you. Okay, on the City of Evanston bills through funding year 2010, 2011 through March 29th, 2011, the amount, the new total is $1,209,762.82.
Move approval.
Okay, is there a second? Alderman Rainey, would you say?
Wait.
Oh, okay.
Are you saying they're not duplicate payments? You're saying, I mean, I got paid.
Exactly. What happened was the supplemental bills list was added to the approval, and that's why it appeared twice. So you did receive your payment. And sometimes when the computer system runs, it will pick it up again, even though it was on a supplemental bills list and we didn't catch it. So we have to back that out. You're correct.
Okay, oh, all right. I thought you were saying that it wasn't, okay. But it wasn't just me, there were several.
There were two others. We went back and checked all the ones you highlighted. There are two others, and that's the difference.
All right, just making-
So the difference is like $1,000 or something, huh?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Well, no, it should be more than 1,000, because one of them is the 1,200.
The difference, I added, wait. The difference is $1,028.27. All of the ones that you highlighted, Alderman Rainey, were not duplicates.
No, I didn't highlight, I just didn't delete the ones that weren't.
Okay, there were three. One was $962.05, one was $56.41, and one was $9.81.
What about the $1,200 to North Shore orthopedics?
They're not duplicates.
They're not?
No.
They're just
We
the
went
same
back and
amounts?
double-checked.
Just the same amounts? Exactly the same amount?
Either they're the same amounts, the answer is on the bills list. I gave it to Marty, so I don't have it in front of me now in the explanation, but there were a few that you brought forward that were not duplicates.
All right, all right, all right.
So that's the amount. The difference, would you say the difference again, Director Earl, on 1,028?
$1,028.27.
Thank you. Okay. It had been moved in second. Okay, moved approval. And Alderman Burris, will you second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, now, we need to go back to, well, we have to wait for a minute for the staff to come back with the answer for,
Alderman Holmes.
yeah, for the garbage cans. Yes, yes.
Well, actually, there's the MFT for the MBE question that Alderman
Right.
Rainey asked. So let me deal with that first.
Okay. And we're going to hold the other one.
Well, and actually, let me deal with this. I would
Okay.
like to ask additional consideration of the recycle bin.
Okay.
Let me read to you an email from Mr. Shepard regarding Chicagoland Paving Contractors. Chicagoland Paving Contractors' request for a 3% MWEBE waiver is denied. Their request for a waiver does not comply with the provisions of Section 5 waiver requirements. The following list constitutes why they're being denied. The waiver request form requires the vendor to check off one or more reasons why a waiver is being requested. The document requires the specific supporting documentation be attached. They did not submit a narrative with its bid stating why the waiver was requested. They did not submit a notarized affidavit that the MWEBE bidders did not respond to its advertisement for MWEBE subcontracting participation. The Chicagoland Paving Contractors did not submit names, addresses, telephone numbers, date and time of contact and method of contact of qualified MWEBEs who submitted proposals to the bidder as a result of the advertisement but were found unacceptable and did not submit a reason for each non-acceptance. The letter of intent from MWEBE to perform a subcontractor, supplier, and/or consultant and affirmation of MWEBE status from Ozinga Ready Mix was not a subcontract with CPC, but named Schroeder & Schroeder Incorporated as the bidder prime contractor, and the affidavit regarding the goal implementation plan was signed by President of Schroeder & Schroeder rather than from someone from Ozinga Ready Mix. So it seemed that there were just several miscellaneous issues with the completion of the forms.
What role did Ozinga play in the Chicagoland paving? Are you saying that they were part of that bid also?
The letter of intent, there was a letter of intent received from Ozinga Ready Mix, which was not a subcontract with CPC, but named Schroeder & Schroeder. So I guess there was one form that was completed by Ozinga Ready Mix, yet other forms were completed by Schroeder & Schroeder for the same work.
How about if we can see a copy of that letter? And, I mean, because I didn't get a copy of that. Did we?
I'm reading to you from an email which we can make copies of. You'd like to see additional?
Not before the vote. I accept that they didn't. I just wanted to know why
Okay.
we were going
And
to
I
the second
apologize, you'd
vote.
asked with plenty of time for us to get it for you prior to the meeting. And
Okay. I just would like to be able to read that. So
certainly,
can
and I
process.
apologize for it being a little bit sorted. But we will make copies for the council. Mr. Schneider is walking up. He may have a
Well,
copy right now.
I'll move approval of Schroeder & Schroeder being the recipient.
Okay. All right, it has been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Alderman Holmes,
Yes.
members of the committee, I've been informed by staff that the funds for the recycle bins, there's a time-sensitive nature to them. Would like to ask the committee to move the item forward and allow us the next half hour, 45 minutes to try to retrieve some photos for you. So when the item comes up through the reading of the consent calendar, we should have the photos hopefully by
You
then.
know, can I just say something?
Alderman Rainey?
I have no problem with that. I want these recycle cans more than you can imagine. But I am concerned about what they look like. And
Certainly.
all I want to do is see them because our streets, you know, we have oil drums on some streets and, You know, I mean, to add more junk to our streets, I'm just hoping they look good. I'm hoping they're not bright blue or something like that.
And Alderman Rainey, members of the committee, if the committee would move this forward to the council, when it's pulled from the consent calendar, we should have additional information
Thank you.
for you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, committee, I just need to review with you, just to make sure that I know what I'm reporting tonight. We have a new total on the bills, is that correct? We will, that's on A2. On A3.3, we will move this to the council without any recommendation. Is that correct?
Yep.
And on no, I'm sorry. Let me go back. On 8.3, this is the special events.
That went through.
That went through. We finally, we made, that's okay, so I don't have to hold, that's not off.
But we're getting, Mr. Gaynor's providing us
Well,
with
maybe I should
additional
take it off anyway and
information.
explain that we'll have some additional
Okay, yeah,
information.
yeah, right.
Okay, so we'll still take it off. A3.4
Or you know
is
what?
what we're
Or
going to.
you know what I think would be better, so as to not delay things? I'll move it in the consent agenda, and then you give a committee report explaining that.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
that's fine, great. And then the last is, well, we don't have to do anything about the recycling if we're going to get pictures of it, right? We'll pull it off and then,
It'll be off the consent
It'll be
agenda.
off the
Did we move
consent.
it?
Yeah,
I
we
think
did.
I don't think we did.
We have to vote it?
Yeah,
Oh,
motion-
okay.
Motion to approve A 3.7.
You have a second?
Okay, all right. I can always vote against
Right,
it on the. all right.
Absolutely. Okay, it's been
Second.
moved in second. All in favor? Aye. But it's still off, okay.
Did you give me the number of the bills? So-
A3, and you want the new figure, it's $1,209,762.82.
Gotcha.
And the
Thank you.
difference was $1,028.27. Okay? All right, so there's no other business before the committee. Can we move adjournment?
Adjourn.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
7:15.
The next city, the city council, there will